So let's go ahead and take a look at JavaScript and Chrome, and the debugger. And the first thing I'm going to do is add a script block to this web page that I created before. So script and then end script. And everything between these two tags is going to be JavaScript. So let's go ahead and write some. There are a couple different ways of getting output from JavaScript. And the first one is the one that you're going to see in eloquent JavaScript in several places. Uses the console.log function. And when this JavaScript gets executed, this is going to cause hello world to be written on the console. So how do you find the console? Let me save this. Go to JavaScript, hit reload, and then to get into the debugger and to see the console, you can either hit F12, like so, or you can go to the Settings tab and look for, where's it? More Tools, Developer Tools. And that will take you to the same place. So F12 or Developer Tools. Now, there's a tab here for console, and you see that's where the hello world came out. So nothing changed on the page, but if you know how to get to the console, you can see the text. Now, let's go ahead and do something a little more complicated. So I'm going to log many strings concatenated together. And if I reload the document, I see both things. And I'm hitting Control S to save, by the way, in Notepad++. Now, I can also use variables. For example, var first name equal Mark, var last name equal Goodman, and then I can make an assignment statement, var full name equal first name plus space plus last name, and then I can output hello, Mark Goodman. Welcome to JavaScript. So let's go ahead and do that. And I see the output is correct. Now, the Eloquent JavaScript Chapter 1 is going to show you various functions, operators, unary, ternary operator, and so on. So let's play around with some of those. So let's say var a equals 1, b equals 2, c equals 3, and then d is equal to a plus b plus c. And then we'll log a plus b plus c equals plus d. So you'll notice for the pieces of text, I'm using double quotes. You can also use single quotes here. And then if I want the value of a variable, I just put the variable name. So let's see what 1 plus 2 plus 3 is. And it's 6. So what am I going to get if I change this plus to a times? Well, there's two possibilities if you just read this as it's written. It could do 1 plus 2, which is 3, and then 3 times 3 is 9. So that's one possible answer. And then the other thing it might do is it might multiply 2 times 3 first, giving you 6, and then add 1 to that, which gives you 7 total. So the question is, which one does JavaScript do? And if we hit reload, we find out that the correct answer here is 7. Now the reason is that times and divided by have precedence over addition and subtraction. So precedence means it happens first. It takes precedence. And there are many rules that cover the precedence of all the different operations in JavaScript. So if you're not sure, the safest thing to do is to put parentheses around it. So let's go ahead and make 2 copies. So this will be D1 and this will be D2. This one should give me the same 7 as I got before. This one should give me, should give me 9. And then copy that. So A plus B times C is D1, and A plus B times C is D2. And we'll reload. Okay, so go ahead and work through the operators and the readings this week and make sure you know how to do most of the math. And then let's take a quick look at strings. Now there's one thing that I want to point out here. So we'll console.log the type of 3 is type of 3. And I'll put that in parentheses. And then the type of 3 is like so. Now if we load the page, we find out that the type of single quote 3 single quote is string, and the type of 3 is number. Now sometimes that is important because three plus 3 is that. 3 plus 3 is that. So this one's pretty straightforward. We'd expect 3 plus 3 to be 6. This one, not so much. You might assume that it's going to convert these into numbers and then add them together. But in fact, plus has multiple meanings. It's overloaded. It can be used to add numbers together, but it can also be used to add strings together by concatenating them like we've seen before. So the question is it going to add the numerical values, or is it going to concatenate these two things as strings? Did I save that? Control S to save. And we see that 3 plus 3 as two strings are concatenated together to 33. 3 plus 3, the two numbers, is added together to make 6. Now, these are pretty understandable, but then what happens if we do these two things? So 3 quoted plus the number 3 versus 3, the number, plus the string 3. So JavaScript is going to do type conversion for you automatically. JavaScript does a lot of type conversion for you automatically. But the question is it going to convert the piece of text 3 to the number 3, giving you 6, or is it going to convert the number 3 to the piece of text quote 3 quote, and then give you 33, the two values concatenated together? And then is it going to do the same thing if you have the two values in the opposite order? Well, you might not know offhand, and I might not know offhand, but it's easy to find out. So let's go ahead and load. And we see that in both cases, when you're adding a number to a string, it concatenates the number, it converts the number to a piece of text, adds the two strings together using concatenation. And it does that because it can. So what's going to happen though if we use a different operator? So let's go ahead and use times here. Now we know how to multiply two numbers together. But in JavaScript, we don't know how to multiply strings together. PHP actually supports this, but not JavaScript. So what is it going to do? Well, it can't multiply the string 3 by the string 3. So what it's going to do instead is it's going to convert the string 3 to the number 3 and then do numeric multiplication here. And we see that in both cases we end up with 9. So when you're doing addition, it's going to convert the number to a string, but when you do multiplication, it's going to convert the string to a number. So the bottom line here is that JavaScript does a lot of type conversion, and it does it automatically. And sometimes that will save you some work. But the rules for actually doing the type conversion are very complicated, and if you rely on them, you're likely to make a mistake. So generally speaking, what you want to do is you want to do your own type conversion and be really careful about whether you have strings or numbers or some other data type. So let's see how to do that. I'm going to take this first one that's doing string conversion, and I'm going to change the first string into a number using int. So this will take the value 3, turn it into an integer number. Actually, I don't think that's right in JavaScript. This is not right, but let's go ahead and, it's parseInt in JavaScript. Let me go ahead and try it anyhow. Yeah, so that's a PHP thing. What I want here is parse integer. parseInt. Let's see if that works. Yeah, so that worked. So parseInt of 3 plus 3 is 6. And if I wanted to convert it to a piece of text, I can say three plus 3.toString is that. Like so. So this takes whatever value is here, numeric value, converts it into a piece of text, and then adds two pieces of text together. And we get 33 as we'd expect. Now, there are a couple of other values. Let's go ahead and look at the Boolean values. So there's true and false. And then there are some things that are considered numeric values, but they're special numeric values. So console.log 1 over 0 is 1 over 0. And console.log 0 over 0 is 0 over 0. And actually, I'd like you to leave spaces around all the operators for legibility. Let's see what we get here. So 1 over 0 is infinity. 0 over 0 is undefined, which is not a number. So those are two special values. And you can also write Boolean operations like this. Now, console, I've been printing to the console and I've been loading JavaScript, but I can also type things directly into the console. So for example, 3 plus 3 is 6. 1 over 0 is infinity. I can also do comparison. So here I'm comparing the value 1 over 0 to the value 2 over 0, and then this equal equal will return either true or false. So if I hit return, I find out that infinity equals infinity. But what about not a number? So let's go ahead and try this. Now, just looking at this, it looks pretty obvious that this is going to return true because I have exactly the same thing on both sides. But you may be surprised to learn that this is actually a false statement because not a number is basically an illegal value. And when you try to compare an illegal value to another illegal value, it's never going to match. Even if you start with the same expression, these two values are undefined. And so you're always going to get false with the comparison. So how about this? Not equal. That's true. So any infinite value matches any other infinite value, but anything that's not a number doesn't match anything else that's not a number. Now you can also use this comparison operator to compare all sorts of interesting things. So let's try false equal 0. That's true. How about false equal the string 0? That's also true. How about 0 equal the string 0? That's true. How about true equal 0? That's false. That's true. So 0 values and strings that are converted to zeros are false. 1s and strings that are converted to 1s are true. But how about that? Is that true or false? That's actually false. So the string 2 and the number 2 do not match true. So once again, the rules are a little complicated, but as part of the assignment, the lab this week, I'm going to ask you to write some rules that log values to the console. So I'll get you started here. 1 equal true is 1 equal true. And 2 equal true is so 1 equal true is true, 2 equal true is false. So if 2 equal true is false, how about 2 equal false? Is that true or is that false? Well, I'll let you find out as part of the lab.